A very warm welcome to everyone in today's program. I'm Architect Bhaskar Chatterjee, Professor at College of Architecture, Omdal Group of Institutions. To begin with, architecture has always been the second most important need of mankind in the form of shelter, food obviously being the first. After thousands of years of evolving, architecture now has become intricately related to the advancement of civilization. It is among the very few subjects where a creative person finds a practical expression to his creation. At Omdal, our aim has always been to stimulate the creative faculty of our students as well as impart a very practical and holistic education. Our aim is to equip our students in such a manner that they can handle architectural projects from the very beginning of their career. To cater to this, the subjects taught here are in tune with the practical side of architectural profession. There are subjects like building materials, construction techniques, climatology, etc. All details of construction, starting from foundation to completion of building, as well as interiors, are all taught here. Last year, in spite of being the worst year in our life due to the pandemic, we at Omdal have continued with the process of teaching and learning, and our students have done very well learning online under the able guidance of their teachers. In the upcoming program, you are going to get a glimpse of what the students have achieved during this period. So without any further delay, let's start the presentation. Thank you.
Material is the integral part of building structure because building material signifies the structural existence, structural importance, constructional behavior, and also visual impact. There is an evolution of materials used for building constructions. Stones, leaves, branches, clay, mud were used in primitive age. After that, some composite materials like cement, bricks, reinforced cement concrete with steel or other metals, concrete, etc. came. In our first and second semester, we have studied about cement, mortar, concrete, adhesives, and finishes. Cement. It is much economical. It has a high thermal mass. Mortar. It is a binding material that binds building materials like bricks and stone into a solid. It protects building materials from fire in emergency. Concrete. Three types of concrete are there. Number one is conventional concrete, which was initially expected to resist only compressive loads. Number two is non-conventional concrete, which is task-specific, environmental friendly, and cost-effective. Number three is pre-stressed concrete, which is a form of concrete where initial compression is given in concrete before applying the external load. Adhesive. It is also known as glue, cement, paste, which is non-metallic substance applied to one or both surfaces of two separate items. Finishes. These are comprises of plastering, pointing, painting, varnishing, and distempering. In our third semester, we have studied about the materials which are used for doors, windows, and damp-proofing course. Window. Window has basically two parts. One is window case frame and another is window shutter frame. Window frames are made of timber, steel sections, aluminium sections, concrete, and stone. And the window shutter frame is made of timber, steel sections, and aluminium sections. The door has also two parts. One is door casing frame and another one is door panel. Door casing frames are made of timber, steel sections, aluminium sections, concrete, and stone. Door panels are made of timber, mild steel sheet, corrugated steel sheet, hollow metal, metal covered plywood. Damp proof course. Damp proofing is a course which prevents building from moisture for a long time. In our fourth semester, we have studied about lintel. It is a horizontal structural member which is placed over the openings like doors and windows. Timber, stones, bricks, reinforced concrete, steels, and reinforced cements are generally used in lintel. We have studied about arches also in our fourth semester. Various types of materials like bricks, stones, wood, monolithic concrete, precast concrete, reinforced cement concrete are used in arch construction. In fifth semester, we have studied about partition wall. Generally, the materials which used to construct partition walls are reinforced brick, hollow and clay brick, glass, straw board, plaster slab, metal lath, AC sheet, wood, lumber, etc. Roofing was also studied in our fifth semester. Roofing is an essential part of a building construction. Roofing material is mostly dependent on the climatology of the location of the building. There are also some new materials that are being introduced in the market. These are known as advanced materials. These materials include polyvinyl chloride, fiber reinforced plastic, etc. Polyvinyl chloride is the world's third most widely produced synthetic plastic polymer. It consists of 57% chlorine and 43% carbon. Fiber reinforced plastic also the excellent choice of material for the construction of chemical storage tanks, piping systems, etc. There are many other materials that are more durable and fire resistant than the older materials we generally know now.
Foundation. In our third semester, we studied about foundation and its types. Foundation is a substructure placed underground that anchors the building to its position. Foundations are of two types: shallow foundation and deep foundation. Shallow foundations. These are mainly used in low-rise buildings. The types are isolated footing, combined footing, strap footing, strip footing, raft or mat footing. The sheet shows the details of single footing, stepped footing, sloped footing, combined footing, strip footing, mat or raft footing. The foundation takes the load from superstructure in the form of vertical or lateral loads or moments. In return, the soil exerts a reaction force upwards that tends to bend the base. Top part comes in compression and bottom part in tension. Therefore, the main reinforcements are provided in the bottom. This is how the reinforcement steel bars are provided. After learning about the foundation details, we hand drafted the detail sheets of isolated footing and combined footing. The sectional details and the reinforcement bar placements are detailed in these sheets. Deep foundation. These are mainly used in high-rise buildings. Piles are long column-like structures made of reinforced concrete or steel. Piles are topped by a pile cap that helps to transfer the load from the superstructure. Here, in this sheet, we drafted the reinforcement details of pile foundation along with the foundation cap details.
Brick bonds. In third semester, we have studied about brick bonds and its various types. Brick is a type of block composed of dried clay which is used to build pavements and other various elements of masonry construction. The largest surface of brick is called structure. The shorter surface is called header, and the depression of top surface is called frog. Four types of brick bonds are generally used in brick masonry. Number 1 is structure bond. Number 2, header bond. Number 3, English bond. And number 4, Flemish bond. Structure bond is the commonest bond used today and the least interesting in appearance. It is used mostly in interior settings because of its thickness of one half of a brick. Header bond is a masonry bond consisting of header courses exclusively. It is mostly used for residence and safety partition garden boundary wall. English bond consists of alternate courses of header and structure bond. This is the most commonly used bond for all wall thickness. In this bond, the vertical joints of the header courses come over each other. Similarly, the vertical joints of the structure's courses also come over each other. This bond is considered to be the strongest bond. In English bond, every alternative header comes centrally over the joint of two structures in courses below. Walls of even multiple of half bricks, for example, 1 brick thick wall, 2 brick thick wall, present the same appearance on both faces. Walls of odd multiple of half bricks, for example, 1.5 brick thick wall, 2.5 brick thick wall, will show structures on one face and headers on the another face. Another one is Flemish bond, which is a brick construction pattern of alternate structures and headers for each course. This is very acceptable because it is economical. As brick bats are used, on another hand, more mortar is used due to use of bats. But it is hard to build and it is comparatively less strong for the wall thickness of more than 30 centimeters. In Flemish bond, partly incessant vertical joints appear in the structure. In double Flemish bond has a similar appearance from the both sides of the face in the front and back elevation. In single Flemish bond, the exposed surface of the wall consists of the Flemish bond and the backside surface consists of English bond in each course. This is stone masonry. We have studied about stone masonry and its types in our third semester. Stone masonry is basically of two types. One is ashlar masonry and another one is rubble masonry. Ashlar is finely dressed stone. In ashlar fine masonry, each stone is cut to uniform shape. In chamfered masonry, a strip is provided to 25 mm depth at 45-degree angle. That's why the exposed face is chamfered. Rubble masonry is a type of stone masonry in which the stones are used obtained from the nature. It is a rough dressed with wider joints in contrast to ashlar masonry wherein stones are given a fine finish and joints are also kept thin. Rubble masonry is more preferred than ashlar because there is a difficulty in dressing most types of stone. And for economical construction also, ashlar masonry is quite costly. That's why rubble masonry is more preferable than ashlar masonry. Rubble masonry is of two types. One is square rubble masonry and another one is polygonal irregular rubble masonry. In square rubble masonry, stone faces are given a straight finish. Voids are filled with mortar and stone chips. In polygonal rubble masonry, the stones are roughly hammered pitched into regular polygonal shapes.
The following sheets are from our 5th semester on various types of partition wall. This sheet is about brick partition wall, which is the most common and economical partition wall. These types of wall can be constructed with plain bricks, brick knot, and hollow bricks or reinforced brick. These are some photographs of hollow clay blocks, which are generally made up of clay or terracotta and are hollow on either sides. In reinforced brick, wire mesh or hoop iron or steel bar is provided. Plaster and concrete partition is constructed by setting 2 by 2.5 cm channels vertically and fixing a metal strips. Strips are galvanized with iron wire or mild steel bar. It can be either precast or cast in situ. Special concrete posts are used for the construction of this wall. Timber partition wall consists of a wooden framework which is either supported on the floor or on the side wall and are not suitable for dam location, neither soundproof nor fireproof, lighter in weight and easy to construct. Timber framed glass wall consists of glass surrounded with a combination of solid and engineered wood. This type of wall consists of a wooden framework and this type of wall provides a good aesthetics. For steel frame glass partition wall, the framing is done with steel and this provides maximum sound insulation and security. Mostly, this wall can be seen in modern office and restaurant and cafe. Slide is about composite glass partition walls. The walls are built of a combination of 2 or more masonry units of different types of materials that are bonded together. This is a video about the installation process of composite glass partition wall. At first, steel framework is done and then plaster boards are used on the both sides. As a modular, versatile, demountable panel, they can be quickly erected to any configuration required and comes in a variety of specification. Next slide is about GI frame drywall partition wall. Drywall materials include plywood and wood pulp, asbestos, cement board and gypsum. This is a soundproof wall. Double layered drywall partition walls, as name suggests, double layer of drywall. Double layers increased the mass and increased mass increases sound deadening. The benefit of a double layered drywall is less noise penetration. Here is a short animated video about the construction process. Advanced building materials represent a new generation of construction materials which demonstrate exceptional properties. Through this, new technologies are integrated into both residential and commercial buildings and infrastructures to make them smarter, more sustainable, energy efficient, and secure. The following sheets are based on our assignment to design a stage backdrop. The aim of the design was to make a simple but eye-catchy backdrop for the stage by only using aluminum composite panels. The mostly used materials are L bracket, MS profile, aluminum cleats, Baker rod, and two types of ACP sheets. The first type is extruded gold finish one, and the second one is the wood finish flat ACP. In this exploded view, we can see the each layer work of the total composite wall. Here is the fixing details. At first, L brackets are fixed on the wall, then the basic framework is created using the MS profile, and after that, which is overlapped by aluminum profile. Then, ACP sheets are placed, Baker rods are run between the grooves. The design has been done surrounding the idea of contrast and texture. The contrast that is developed between the shiny, extruded, and matte finish flat appearances of the ACP is the main design concept. The band of wood finished ACPs running in between the gold ACPs break the monotony of the backdrop while also emphasizing the whole design. The 3D form of the ACP panels will create different visualization of the backdrop. We also collect rough idea about the bill of quantities for this project. On the first sheet, we can see the elevation and the basic framework along with the skin section and details. For the another one, the inspiration is taken from the Destile art movement, emphasized on the strict cubic form with the primary colors. The design was done for NASA room wall where the achievements will be hanged on. The basic framework is installed with holdfast on the wall, then ACP layers are added. Finally, the logo is placed on the transparent vinyl sheet. And lastly, these are some other examples.
In our fourth semester, we got to learn about the arches. An arch is a vertical curved structure that spans over an elevated space. It may or may not support the weight above it. These are the different parts of an arch which are shown, such as voussoirs, vertical support, keystone, springing line, and the radius. This is a sheet which is drafted by us in our fourth semester. In this sheet, there are different types of arches such as semicircular arch, segmental arch, and flat arch. This is a semicircular arch. Semicircular arch is also known as Roman arch. This arch forms a half circle which is a major feature in all Roman architecture. A segmental arch is a type of arch with a circular arc of less than 180 degrees. It is sometimes also called a scheme arc. A flat arch is an arch with a flat lower or inner curve. Some other types of arches are lancet arch, equilateral arch, horseshoe arch, three-centered arch, and four-centered arch. A lancet arch is one of the variety of pointed arch in which each of the arc or curve of the arch have a radius longer than the width of the arch. Equilateral arch is a two-centered arch or two-centered pointed arch in which the chords of the curve are equal to the span. Horseshoe arch is also called a Morris arch or a keyhole arch. Horseshoe arch can take rounded or pointed or lobed form. Three-centered arch, an arch whose inner curved surface is struck from the three centers, resulting in a shape of one half of an ellipse. Four-centered arch is a low, wide type of arch with a pointed apex. Its structure is achieved by drafting two arches which rise chiefly from each springing point on a small radius. Now there is a small video on how a lancet arch is built. The vertical supports are created and then the voussoirs are placed from both sides of the curve, and at the end there is a keystone which is placed at the center.
Staircase. In our fourth semester, we studied about staircase. The different type of staircases are L-shaped, dog-legged, spiral, circular, bifurcated, and straight. L-shaped staircase. Dog-legged staircase. Spiral staircase. Circular staircase. Bifurcated staircase. Straight staircase. The sheet displays the most common type of staircase, the dog-legged staircase. The staircase is composed of landings connected by waist slab, a number of steps with vertical risers and horizontal shade. It is supported on beams. The reinforcement steel bars are arranged as shown. The sheet contains a design of a staircase along with some handmade models. The models were made for better understanding of the design.
In our fourth semester, we got to know about the pitch roof and its building techniques. What is a pitch roof? A pitch roof is a roof that slopes downward, typically in two parts, at an angle from the center ridge. Here are some of the sheets which are drafted by us in our 4th semester, which contains the detail of pitch roof and its different parts. This sheet contains the plan of the pitch roof, the section of the pitch roof, the detail of the edges of the pitch roof, and some elaborate leveling of the drawing of pitch roof. In this sheet, we can see a different type of pitch roof which is covered with interlocking tiles, and its main membrane, that is the supporting parts, are rafters and joists. So now there is a small video regarding the roof construction technique in which we are using joists and rafters for the roof construction. Rafters are triangular section and they are fit nicely on the wall plate. Another type of section which is used in construction of roof are purlins, which are associated with the struts, and they provide extra support to the rafter and hence adding an extra strength to the roof. The purlin are found at the right angle to the rafter, and association with the struts are found on every 4th rafter. Then there are hangers which are found at the right angle to the joist and keeping a strong roof.
In the following slides, we are going to learn about the floor slabs which you have learned in the 4th semester. A floor slab, also known as plate slab or filigree slab. This slab is a reinforced concrete slab with a minimum thickness of 5 to 6 cm. Depending on the concrete covering and reinforcement, it can be up to 7 cm thick. Now in this slide there are shown steel joists. The steel joists are open web lightweight steel trusses consisting of parallel cords and a triangulated web system, which are proportioned to span between bearing points. There are 5 main components of a steel joist, that is a top cord, bottom cord, end web, bearing sheet and interior web members. In this slide we can see details of a jack arch roof and how it is constructed. A jack arch roof is composed of arches that are made of either of brick or lime concrete. In this animated video we can see the construction of a jack arch roof. In this slide we can see the plan elevation sections of a flat slab. In this following animated video we can see the construction of a reinforced flat slab. We have learnt about the types of wooden joineries and the construction system in the 2nd semester and the 3rd semester. A joinery is a part of woodworking that involves joining pieces of wood or timber that helps to produce more complex items. We have studied the making of these wooden joineries in the 3rd semester. First, in this slide it is shown a fist joint. When it is desirable to join 2 members without reducing their section to a certain extent, then that joint, as shown in the figure below, is known as a fist joint. Here are some of the animated videos that show the construction of the fist joints, strap and bolts joint. In this slide we can see there are shown the table splice joint, butt joint and lap joint. Table splice joint is another variation of the half lap joint. Butt joint. The end of a piece of wood is butted against another piece of wood, then this joint is known as the butt joint. Now comes the lap joint. When the end of a piece of wood is laid over and connected to another piece of wood, it is known as the lap joint. Also, these videos help us to explain the construction systems of the table joint, matched joint and V-joint. In this slide we can see there are types of widening joints. So widening joints are used to make wider boards by joining the narrower ones edge to edge. These videos help us to understand the construction systems of the angled half joint and the bevel half joint. Now in this slide there are shown many types of joint like a dovetail joint, a notch joint, mortise and tenon joint, chase mortise joint. A dovetail joint or a simple dovetail is a joinery technique which is most commonly used in carpentry, which includes making of the furniture, cabinets and traditional timber framing. Mortise and tenon joints are the strong and stable joints that can be used in many projects. Here are some of the animated videos and also the video of our respected teacher showing the construction of a dovetail joint, also the animated videos of the types of dovetail joint. In this slide we can see there are many types of joints shown like a housed joint, meter joint, bird's mouth joint, oblique tenon joint, the housed joint. In this joint, the whole end of one piece of a timber is accommodated or housed for a short distance into the other piece, one of which our respected teacher is showing the construction system.
We have learned about doors and windows in 2nd and 3rd semester of our course. In this slide, we can find a typical level door and a typical level window. Frame. It is an assembly of horizontal and vertical members forming an enclosure to which the shutters are fixed. Shutters. These are the openable parts of a door or a window. Head. This is the top or uppermost horizontal part of a frame. Sill. This is the lowest or bottom horizontal part of a window frame. Horn. These are the horizontal projections of a frame. Rebate. It is the depression or recess made inside the door frame to receive the door shutter. There are different types of windows with different structure and function, such as fixed windows, casement windows, awning windows, double hung windows, etc. Let's have a look at the ventilation openings of the most common window types. Fixed windows, no matter what size, offer no ventilation at all. Next is awning window, severely limit the amount of opening, offer very little ventilation in respect with its size. And for the larger ones, the lower panes are normally fixed, which further reduces the amount of ventilation. Sliding window have a fixed pane of glass which prevents the ventilation. In larger ones, additional fixed panes can be found which further restricts the ventilation. In double hung windows, the half of the window pane is fixed, so the ventilation through it is moderate. For larger ones, the portion of the fixed panes increases and the ventilation amount decreases. As the casement windows open perpendicularly, it allows ventilation through the entire window area. For larger ones, 1/3 of the window pane is fixed and that decreases the amount of ventilation. Louvered windows with no fixed panels, the blades open horizontally. This type of window allows ventilation through the entire part of it. Even through the large ones, the amount of ventilation is comparatively higher than any other windows. So, if we represent graphically the amount of ventilation this kind of windows offer, here comes the result. Windows can be made of different materials such as timber, steel, aluminium, etc. Window details made of different elements, their fixing details, their structural details have been shown here. In this slide, we can find a typical level door, and this is how a door is fixed in the wall. In these two slides, it has been shown that how a single shuttered flush door works in different places. The size and materials of a door may vary as per the location and their requirements. For a toilet, the door size is kept the minimum, where for a room it is moderate, and for other areas the size of a door increases. The materials and size of a door depends on the users of a particular place. In this slide, the door component, door frame and door installation accessories have been shown separately. We can find here steel door frame fixing, weather stripping door jambs, weather stripping meeting styles, weather stripping door thresholds, etc. Apart from this, different kinds of hinges for door joints. We have also learned about choosing the location of a door or a window. For the best space utilization, the number of doors should be kept minimum, but at least 2 openings should be there. If there are 2 doors in a room, the doors should preferably be located in opposite walls facing each other so as to provide good cross ventilation and free circulation of air in rooms. If the windows are placed adjacently, the cross ventilation works very less. If in a room, the openings are in only one wall or the windows are placed adjacently, in that case, the possibility of cross ventilation becomes very limited. According to National Green Building Standard, for proper ventilation, the size of the window should be 15% of the total conditioned area.
False ceiling is a topic which we study in 5th semester. Metal furring. Suspended ceiling is a secondary ceiling hung below the main ceiling, also named as drop ceiling or T-bar ceiling. Purpose. This is basically aesthetic at resident, also insulating and acoustical at commercial building. Here one type of metal furring suspended ceiling is drawn by us. Here we have shown reflected ceiling plan, isometric views and all the details about components. Another type of ceiling is BPB grid ceiling. Here we have shown the ceiling plan, section and isometric view. And we also done some details of wall angles, joint of main runner and cross runner. Here the wire hanger provides the suspension from the structural ceiling. BPB ceiling tiles are used in conjunction with Casoline grid ceiling system. This is a new design from BPB which is highly popular in both Europe and UK because of its specially designed characteristics in terms of sound control performance, aesthetics as well as durability. In this sheet, we have drawn all the details of gypsum board drop ceiling. This is basically used for acoustical purpose at the theatre hall as it has highly sound absorption property. It is lightweight, flexible and fire and moisture resistant. Gypsum board panels are tough and economical and are fast replacing than other ceiling materials such as plaster of Paris as they are used for renovating old ceilings too. Working drawing. Drawings for the proper construction of a building for carrying out the various trades in accordance with the design or intention of the architect and for obtaining estimates of cost. They will consist of plans, elevations, sections and details augmented with specifications. Purpose. The primary role or function of working drawings is to convert design data into construction information and to clearly communicate that information to building industry code officials and fabricators. Municipal drawing or sanction drawing. These are the drawings prepared for obtaining sanction for the project. The sanctioning authorities have their own checklist of drawings to be submitted. Purpose. To get sanction from competent authority before starting actual work, to check whether the proposed construction is as per bylaws or not, to decide the taxation of building by municipal authority. Without sanction of drawing, any construction if constructed is illegal. At villages, the drawings are sanctioned by panchayat. At town by municipal bylaws and in cities by corporation bylaws. For getting approval of the plan, also even after approval, number of copies are required for obtaining financial assistance, electric supply, water supply, connection, etc. These copies of plan can be obtained by ammonia print. We have studied plumbing services in 5th semester. Public water supply consists of collections, conveyance, treatments and distribution. Water is conveyed from the street mains to the individual building through service connection and collected in underground tank. Service connection consists of two types. Those are communication pipe and supply pipe. The pipe which runs from the municipal distribution mains to boundary of the premises is known as communication pipe, and the pipe which runs inside the premises is called as supply pipe. In this picture, we are able to see the details of service connection. Internal water distribution system depends upon the size and height of the structure. These are the basic methods of distribution system depending on the pressure of the water and gravity. Direct supply system. In case of buildings which are more than 2 floors and if adequate pressure is available in the mains, supply of water is directly given to various floors for sufficient hours. This method is called direct supply system. Indirect supply system. When the pressure in the mains is not sufficient, the water is pumped directly to the overhead storage tank and from there water is distributed to different floors by gravity. Gravity system. In this system, water flows under gravity without use of any external energy to deliver water from source to consumer. Water distribution system for a town depends upon the level of the source, topography of the area and some other local condition. In this sheet, we have discussed about pumping system and combined gravity and pumping system. Pumping system. Treated water is directly pumped into distribution mains without storing. This method is not generally used. Combined gravity and pumping system. This is the most common, efficient and economical. Treated water is pumped and stored in an elevated distribution reservoir. Then it supplies to consumer by action of gravity.
Architectural illumination aims to reveal the existing form of a building and creates link between the building and the landscape, defining a unique identity while respecting the living environment of people. In this presentation, I shall be discussing these points. We all know about the importance of light in our life. It stimulates our sight and makes things visible to us. Architectural illumination is the lighting that applies to the built environment. Lighting in museum is important for displaying the exhibits and for the movement of the visitors. Gallery lighting requirements vary with function, type and the size of work. The whole presentation is based on these research statements. The methodology of lighting in museums is shown in this flowchart. When many different objects are displayed in a single exhibit, lighting designers must sometimes light the space so that certain objects are illuminated with bright or dim light, light that is warm or cool, using deep or shallow angles and a variety of fixtures and sources. As many art museum exhibits change frequently, lighting design must be flexible and easy to customize for new objects and collections. In two ways, museum lighting can be done: natural lighting, artificial lighting. Natural light plays a major role in museum construction and design. It is of two types: top lighting, lateral lighting. There are a few advantages and disadvantages of the top lighting system. There are three types of top lighting: skylight, atrium, roof monitor. Lateral lighting is provided either by ordinary windows or continuous opening. Best ways to design windows in exhibition space are: 1. Favorable lighting from north, 2. Normal opening shadow on the wall, 3. Side lighting. There are 4 types of lateral lighting: 1. Vertical windows, 2. Horizontal windows, 3. Clear story windows, 4. Window wall. The factors of daylight design considerations are as follows. 1. Site building to maximize daylight availability. 2. Building orientation. 3. Building form. 4. Use of low-rise buildings for greater daylight access. 5. Use of the atrium to maximize core daylight. Artificial lighting is the light that we get from the electric source. The form of the lighting can be divided into two types. 1. Diffuse lighting. 2. Directional lighting. Some different types of artificial lightings are luminous ceiling lighting, indirect luminaries, cove lighting, wall washer, spot lamps. For 2D object, 30-degree angle from vertical is preferred. Steep angles emphasize texture, but mute color may cause shadows from deep frames. Adjustable fixtures include identification levels in spill light. For 3D object, techniques can be divided into 5 types, such as directional lighting, point lighting, area lighting, spot lighting, global illumination. Apart from creating a good visual environment for the audience, the museum's lighting environment should also focus on protecting exhibits and reducing the damage to cultural relic caused by light radiation. It is observed that lighting plays a decisive role in the display space. Guggenheim Museum is a good example of where we can find fine use of natural and artificial lighting. The 45-degree plastic louvers have been placed to deflect the sun rays. For the best use of light, all the walls, including the floors and ceilings, have been painted with high reflectance matte white. Lighting in general plays a very important role in architecture to develop an interaction between humans and a specific space. When it comes to exhibition areas, lightings have to be very carefully designed, as it should not only convey the brilliance of the exhibit but also maintain the overall lightings required. This is either done by natural or artificial lighting or by a combined strategy. The intent of this research is to explore qualitative aspects regarding lighting that is used in museum architecture and the psychological impact of lighting on human behavior.
In the 7th semester, we study about structure in architecture. This subject teaches us about the different types of structural system in advanced architecture. This is a sheet which is done by us. These are the classification of form active system. Number 1, tense structure. 2, cable structure. 3, pneumatic structure. 4, arch structure. Tense structure. Tense structure is a common type of thin membrane structure which only carry tension stress and no bending or compression. In the next slide, you will see a small animation or video regarding a tense structure. Cable structure. It comprises of non-rigid, flexible cables shaped in a certain manner and fixed at the ends to span the space. Pneumatic structure is a membrane which carries load developed from tensile stresses. Arch structure. An arch structure is a curved surface that spans over an elevated space. These are some of the examples of the structures we learned before. High-rise building structure are buildings between 75 feet and 491 feet and taller than that are classified as skyscrapers. Some materials used in these buildings are cast iron, float glass, etc. Vector active structure system. This system consists of linear members joined together with hinge joint in which member develop either axial compression or tension but no bending. Classifications are flat truss, curved truss, face truss, and tree truss. Here is a skin section of the tree truss. Section active structural system. These are system of rigid solid linear elements in which redirection of force is effected. This structural system is further classified into beam structures, frame structures, and slab structures. Shell structure. A shell structure is defined as a curved structure that is capable of transmitting loads in more than two directions. These are the different types of shell structure. Number 1, single curvature shell structure. Number 2, double curvature shell structure. Under single curved shell structure, there are barrel shell and conoid shell. It is a very sustainable structure that can bear a lot of load and does not break easily. There is a snack company called Pringle which uses this shape for the snacks which make the product non-fragile and keep it intact and does not get broken into small pieces. In the next slide, you will see a small video on this structure.
Climatology is the study of climate and how it changes over time. It is a very important aspect in architectural designing. These are the few basic concepts of climatology. Points on Earth's orbit shows the climatic variation on Earth due to revolution around the Sun. Zenith and nadir are the two poles of the horizon. global wind pattern shows the different wind patterns of northern and southern hemisphere. Radiation spectrum shows the different radiation emphasizing on the visible spectrum range. Sun path diagram to determine altitude and azimuthal angle. Diagram of thermal comfort showing the ways of heat gain and heat loss inside a building. Types of ventilation for good airflow. This sheet displays the different types of ventilation system. Ventilation can be natural or forced. Natural ventilation is achieved by opening like windows or any cutouts. Forced ventilation is achieved by using fan, rotary vents, wind traps, etc. Design of a shelter for composite climate. Composite climate displays the characteristics of hot and dry, warm and humid, as well as cold climates. The displayed plan and section was a quick class assignment given to us for better understanding of the application of climatology in architecture. Fenestrations and shading devices. Shading devices are mainly of two types, horizontal and vertical. These are used to protect the interior of the building from excessive solar radiation and precipitation. Sun path diagram. The picture on the left side is the sun path diagram of Tokyo, Japan, whereas on the right is the sun path diagram of Kolkata, West Bengal. This activity was done in class to read the sun path and analyze it and to differentiate the climatic aspects of the two places. We were assigned to design a climate-responsive building on a given climatic condition. The first project was to design a 3-storage building at Karanzolam, Goa. Goa features a tropical monsoon, warm and humid climate. The sun path diagram shows the daylight hours and the shadows obtained for any building. The graphs here shows the average temperature, rainfall, wind speed, humidity and sun hours. Here are some pictures of the site and its locational details. After the studies, this is the proposed site plan. The concepts that were taken are plantation of dense shrubs and trees for blocking the summer setting sun and providing natural shade by cutting the direct sun rays. The positioning of the trees are kept such that it can cut the strong winds. The orientation of the building is kept north-south. The geometry of the envelope is kept circular. The ground floor plan along with the sectional details are shown here. These are the upper floor plans and these are the elevations obtained. The materials used are shown here in this section. Some rendered exterior and interior views of the proposed building are displayed here. The second project was to design a climate-responsive building for Jodhpur, Rajasthan. The climate of Jodhpur is hot and semi-arid. The concept was to design a residential building which portrays a blend of traditional Rajput architectural style with modern design approach that best suits the climate and the requirement of the users. These are some of the idea illustrations that are used for fenestration and shading. Placement of fenestrations were then decided along with the shading devices according to the orientation. Then the shadow angles were calculated. The sun path diagram of the location was read and observations were noted. The shading devices for western and southern facades are shown here. The materials that were chosen are reinforced hollow brick that are good insulator of heat and sound. Internal courtyard formation for natural air flow and wind movement was considered to be a part of the design. These are the plans, elevations and sectional details of the designed building. The third project was to design a climate-responsive building for the climate of Trivandrum city, Kerala. The site was at Kovalam, having a tropical climate. Here are the climate charts showing the monthly weather condition, average temperature and precipitations. These are the sun path diagrams for winter and summer solstice and equinoxes. The design concept focuses on taking inspiration from the vernacular architecture of Kovalam and to integrate it with modern constructional techniques and also to reduce the building's dependency on artificial energy. This is the proposed site plan and these are the sectional details along with an axonometric view. These are the elevations obtained. The 3D view depicts all the design aspects of the building, like the use of clear story windows for better ventilation and internal illumination, use of local materials for making it cost-effective, and natural materials and green creepers to make the building sustainable and environment-friendly.
Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the Day 3 of AOTT 2021. I am Akshay Shah and I will be your host for today's event. Today we have some great performances for you to sit back and enjoy. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Our today's event will begin with a folk song that is Tomar Ghore Boshot Kore by Atreyi Mojumdar from first year and Bias Chakraborty from second year.
তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন একজনের ছবি আঁকে মনে ওরে একজনের ছবি আঁকে মনে ওরে মন আরেকজন বসে বসে রং মাখে ও আবার সেই ছবি খান নষ্ট করে কুঞ্জনা কুঞ্জনা তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন তোমার ঘরে বাস করে কারা মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জন মনে জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে
Wow, what a beautiful performance. Thank you Atreyi and Bias. And I hope to see you tomorrow as well. Thank you.